Well, we have one more event for you this evening, and it's a special event as well because it testifies to the maturity of our association, which seems so young such a short time ago. We're entering the second generation coming into the business. You heard Joe mention that one of the people who no one could conceive could be very funny was a pharmacist from Auburn, Alabama. And we thought, well, it wouldn't take much to get a pharmacist to laugh. So you wouldn't have to be too much of a humorist. But we know that Robert Henry of Auburn, Alabama, one of our past presidents, the late Robert Henry, was one of the great humorists of our entire history of the NSA. And we have his son, Patrick, to perform for us this evening in one form or another. Patrick and I had a near miss that I'm not sure he knows how near the miss was. Patrick attended the youth program back in Washington, D.C. many years ago, and so did my daughter, Kate. And it turned out that the two of them both arrived late for the tour that was going to take them around in buses around D.C. So the two of them lit out together. And I thought, oh boy, if Kate can snag that Patrick Henry, that's going to be a good catch. And,
that's fine. That's not what his eyes were telling me.
So the excitement and what for you new presidents, you're not new to NSA, but you're new to this responsibility. And to just know that the evolution of that which you are a part of, that which the vision that you're bringing to your city and the vision you have for your chapter is not that much different than what Cavett brought. And the maturity that as we've grown up and the respectability of a second generation coming involved is so fabulous, as testified by this magnificently talented, marvelous young Patrick Henry. Let's welcome Patrick.
Well, thank you. I grew up in this association. My father was a speaker, and I was a part of the first youth program in NSA. My wife and I, some of you know this story, actually met in the youth program. She was also a part of the youth program. Now, we did not date for that many years. We reconnected in later years, but my wife is the daughter of Jeannie Robertson's secretary. And so our son, Jack, is going to start the youth program this summer. And it continues on and on. But we were standing in the headquarters yesterday. How many of you walked into the room with all the pictures of past presidents on the wall? That's pretty powerful. I was standing there and I was looking at those pictures and I realized, with the exception of one, I knew all of them. I mean, I wasn't friends with them, all of them, but I knew them through my dad, and just like I knew all of the people we talked about tonight through my dad. And I realized something as I was standing there. While most kids' heroes throw footballs or drive fast cars, my heroes were on that wall. And it also occurred to me as I watched them that I had seen a lot of them in our house when I was growing up, and that they did extraordinary things. They did extraordinary works. A lot of them were really ordinary guys. And so I want to play you a song that I wrote about how ordinary people can do extraordinary things.
There's a little boy on third base, but his mind's not in the game. His daddy's face ain't in the stands. He had to work late. Neighbor heard about him, so he came to root him on. The old man cheered the last when the boy hit his first home run. Heroes don't aim to change the world or lead the crowd. Standing up don't mean standing out. They help those around them, try to fill the need. That's how ordinary people do extraordinary things. There's a woman sitting by herself in a nursing home, wondering how the life she led left her all alone. A teenage girl visits every week on Saturday. As they talk about the little things, loneliness melts away. Heroes don't aim to change the world or lead the crowd. Standing up don't mean standing out. They help those around them, try to fill the need. That's how ordinary people do extraordinary things. That's how ordinary people do extraordinary things.
Quit now. You know, some of you have heard this story before about how I got into the speaking business, and I don't customize my program, so you're going to hear it again. I mentioned this, some of you may have heard the VOE last August, and I told the story about how I got into speaking, and I didn't want to be a speaker when I graduated from college. I'd grown up around it, and I loved it, and I admired it, but I had different goals, and my goal was to be Garth Brooks. And so I moved to Nashville, and I got a job writing songs for a publishing company, and as you well know, it paid about $300 a week. And so I waited tables, and I did all these things that songwriters do to make ends meet, and I used to play at a little place called the Bluebird Cafe. How many of you have been to the Bluebird Cafe? It's about the size of this room, actually smaller than this room. And what we would do is we would play writers' rounds, where me and 3 other writers would sit in the middle of the room, microphones aimed at our mouth, and the crowd was sitting around us. And so I would play a song, and then the next person would play a song. And we'd always tell stories about the songs that we were playing. And I realized that people responded better to the stories that I was telling than my songs, which didn't sit well with me. But anyhow, a man comes up to me after one of the shows, and he was with the Tennessee Farm Bureau. Some of y'all spoken for the Tennessee Farm Bureau, probably. He came up and said that our company's coming to Nashville in a couple of months. We'd love for you to come perform. I said, sure, I'd be happy to. So I put together 45 minutes of material. Stories, songs, a lot of funny songs. And I did this show. And afterwards he approached me and he said, I really enjoyed that speech. I'm thinking I can't get away from it. And I'm thinking, speech? That wasn't a speech. I'm a songwriter. I'm an artiste. And then he handed me a check for $500. And I said, I'm glad you enjoyed that. I'm in love. There's no better way to put it. How many of you here are in love? Good, good. Women's hands always tend to beat the men's hands about that much. I asked that question not long ago in Montgomery, Alabama. I always ask that question in my speech, and this woman elbowed her husband right between the ribs. He said, I raised my hand. She said, not near quick enough. But no, I was a single man in Nashville for a long time, and I had my share of relationships. Some good, some bad, some train wrecks. I want to sing y'all a song I wrote about a train wreck. I like to call her Becky. Now, Becky's not a bad person. She just had this annoying habit I couldn't get used to. She was too affectionate. in public with other men. My philosophy is, you do me wrong, I'm going to write a song about it. Take it on the circuit.
Her faded sweater's all she left behind. Fading scent reminding me of happier times. She's run off with someone new. Now this sweater's all I've got to see me through. Whoa, nothing cleans a toilet like cashmere. Oh, like what I've got. I'm trying hard to wipe away her memory while I scrub those pesky stains off of my pot. Well, looky here, in my truck, she left a toothbrush. Well, I should send it to her new address. Now that's the Christian thing to do. But hey, my dog needs clean teeth too. Worry about her breath.